Hello, hello, my lovely, beautiful Cancers. This is going to be your weekly reading for February 26th through March 10th. Let's go ahead and start pulling your cards here. 5, 6, 7. So we got week 1 and we're starting on week 2 here. Ooh, Cancer. Okay, so let's start by discussing the cards that I see here. So Cancer, just by looking at your cards here, you can see that there's a lot of people on these cards. And what that tells me is that Cancer, right now, you are working on yourself. You are working on your self-expression, the way that you show up in the world for not only yourself, but for other people as well. This is also oftentimes trying to figure out your identity and the person that you present yourself as to the outer world, and making sure that it aligns with your view of your inner self as well. So Cancer, you're doing a lot of inner work right now in order to express outwardly who you really are on the inside. So let's go ahead and talk about this first card here. On Monday the 26th, Cancer, you have the 7 of Wands in reverse. This card is about rethinking things. This is about reevaluating whether or not the things that you are fighting for are really worth it to you. In the upright, when we look at this card, this is a person defending themselves on the high ground from people or things being brought up against them. This is someone who is standing firmly on their feet and saying, no, I will not move, I will not be shaken, this is where I stand and the hill I stand on. So with this card in reverse, Cancer, you're reevaluating the things that you stand on. And since we were talking about yourself, this could be the things that you believe about yourself or the way that you choose to express yourself. You're evaluating whether or not these things are actual expressions of who you are, and whether or not these things truly align with the morals and the things that you choose to defend in your life. So Cancer, reevaluating who you are, reevaluating the things that you stand for and the things that you are fighting for. Then Tuesday, the 27th, Cancer, you move on to the Queen of Wands in reverse. And the Queen of Wands in reverse also says that you have a lack of vision at this time. Not necessarily just a lack of vision, but that you are feeling as though you lack the willpower to see something through. So you may be experiencing self-doubt. You may be experiencing doubt about your ability to do these things, and also ability to think at this time. The Queen of Swords is usually a person who is very logical in their thinking. And with this card showing up in the reverse, you very well could be feeling like your thinking at this time is disrupted, and that you can't get a clear picture in your mind about what you're supposed to be doing. Or, as we were saying, for dealing with yourself and dealing with the way that you view and perceive yourself and the way you present yourself to the world, it could be that you don't have a clear vision on what this outward persona for you should look like. And I don't mean persona in like a false sense. I don't mean that you're presenting yourself as a persona without being on the, truthful on the inside. It's the way that you present yourself to the world. So maybe this persona or this portion of yourself, you might be feeling as though you aren't quite sure how to express it in the proper way. And you're stuck in almost a logical mindset about it, as opposed to an emotional feeling mindset. So we had 2 reversals here for Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, the 28th of February, you have the Queen of Wands. And this is a pretty positive turn from all of this. This is saying that you do still have an air of confidence about you. You may not necessarily know the direction or how to get there, the steps to get there, but you do have one thing, and that is your confidence. Confidence in yourself, confidence in your ability to see things and do things. And the wand suit is the suit of our ability to make things happen. And so Cancer, you know that you are a person that can make things happen for you no matter what. You're the person who's going to make sure that things get done, and you're never going to leave something unfinished. And that's where your confidence is in the Queen of Wands. Not necessarily just an outward confidence for, other people. It's not saying you don't maybe sometimes have, anxiety about certain things. It's just saying that you understand your confidence and what you bring to the table here. Then we move on to Thursday, the 29th. We have a leap year this year for February, which is really fun. Leap year is supposed to bring good luck on this day. And Cancer, here on February the 29th, you have the Two of Swords. And this shows that you are in a sort of crossroads at this time. You may find yourself stuck between two different choices or decisions that don't really seem to have a better option than the other. One doesn't seem better than the other. They seem both equal in merit. If you were to make a pros and cons list about these two different choices or paths that are available to you right now, you may not necessarily find one that wins over the other. So Cancer, you're being presented with a decision, being presented with a crossroads, and you find yourself in this kind of stuck place. Now, since a lot of the theme of your reading here so far, Cancer, has been about your person, has been about yourself and the way that you are, feeling and presenting yourself on the inside, this very well could be coming to a crossroads about maybe your thoughts or feelings towards yourself. It also can be between the two different pieces of yourself that you're fighting with. Maybe you have been realizing that your outward persona when you're around other people is not a true reflection of who you are. Maybe you're realizing certain friend groups or certain people or situations bring out the worst in you, and you're not happy about the way that it has been affecting you in your day-to-day life. And so you find yourself in a crossroad of trying to figure out how to present yourself differently while also not necessarily knowing or having the ability to do so in the moment. So Cancer, you find yourself in a crossroad and things don't really seem as though they have one better option over the other. Your very next card here on Friday, this is going to be for Friday, March 1st. You have the Two of Pentacles in reverse. And this is also, we just had the Two of Swords. This is another two here. And so this is also kind of that aspect of finding balance between 2 points. But this is more balancing your energy towards certain things. So at this time with the Two of Pentacles, you may find that certain things within your life are taking a lot more energy from you than what you have to give, or maybe even be putting in more than what you're getting out of energy-wise from a situation or a place, a person even for some of you. With this being a Pentacles, for a lot of you, this is going to be in the workplace. This is going to be where you're putting in your effort at the workplace, and you may be finding yourself putting in more energy to work than these other things that you're getting out of it. You may be finding that you are in a place where you can't really stop thinking about your job or your workplace when you come home at the end of the day. And it leaves you with this feeling of like oversensitivity, where maybe you're not showing up fully in your home life or your family life because of the stress from your workplace. So the Two of Pentacles here, Cancer, just be careful that you are balancing your energies, that you are not putting in too much into one place, and that you are not trying to spin too many plates, trying to, carry so much in one spot and leaving yourself in a deficit for the other things that are also important for you to take care of at this time. Alrighty, Cancer, we move on to the Six of Swords in reverse for this is for Saturday, March 2nd. Cancer, you have the Six of Swords in reverse. So the Six of Swords is moving on after a painful event. This is moving on from pain, situations that may have hurt you in the past, people. It's usually specific situations like traumas, things that you've been through that have hurt very deeply within your heart, and allowing yourself to move past these things. But Cancer, with the Six of Swords in reverse, you are finding it difficult to let these things go. Again, since we're talking a lot about your persona, the personality that you're presenting to the world, it very well could be that you built up this persona or this piece of yourself from a place of trying to protect yourself from the world. It may have been as a result of a painful past or something that you have been through, and you've built this thing up, and now you're finding that this person that may have served you in the past, that you may have been as a means to protect you in the past, is no longer something that is aligning with who you are now. It's no longer something that is a proper reflection of who you are on the inside. And you're finding it really hard to let go because, again, you know, this persona that you created for yourself, Cancer, was something that was made to protect you from a painful past. And so moving on from it is very hard. You know, one of the animals that signifies Cancer is the crab. And when crabs molt, you know, they lose their hard outer shell and they have to be vulnerable for a time. Their new shell, once they have it, is very, very soft and they have to be very careful. And so that's kind of what you're going through here, Cancer, is you're going through this molting process where you're being asked to move into a new shell, a new place for yourself. And you find yourself scared to be in that place of vulnerability, of the softness, because it is, you know, that shell has protected you for so long, it has served you, and now you're being asked to move away from it, and it's very scary. Just try to keep your eye on where it is that you're going, because focusing on the past is in the past. It's not something that's going to, you know, change or be different the more that you think about it. And keeping an eye on the future, keeping a focus on where it is that you want to go, how you want yourself to look, not just physically how you want yourself to look. I mean, like, how you want yourself to feel on the inside, what you want your outward expression of yourself to look like. Not in a false persona sense, but as, you know, as we were saying, a true reflection of who you are on the inside. So again, Cancer, don't be afraid to let this thing go. It may be painful to let it go initially, but it is going to be better for you in the long run to let this thing go. All right, Cancer, let's talk about this card here. You have the Five of Wands in reverse for Sunday. The Five of Wands in reverse is saying that there is all this conflicting emotions and energies going on right now for you, and you need to find some time to take a step back from this conflict. There is, you know, the wands can sometimes signify being pulled in a bunch of different directions. You know, finding a pull between your work and your home life, your family, your hobbies, maybe a side hustle if you have it. It's about finding yourself drawn between all these different points and, you know, finding that you're being spread too thin. And the Five of Wands in reverse is saying you need to take a step back. You need to take a step back from this conflict, these opposing energies that are fighting for your attention and your time, so that you can get a clear perspective from the outside. And that's one of the reasons that I really love tarot, and it's one of the reasons that I really love reading for other people, is because tarot can help provide you that outward viewpoint. It can kind of pull you away from, you know, being in the emotional moment of what is going on, and it can help provide you that outside opinion that you may be looking for at this time. It provides you an extra viewpoint where you can look at your problems and evaluate them from a place of, you know, non-judgment for yourself. And sometimes we have to see those outward perspectives in order to understand that, you know, maybe we were playing a part in our own misery for a moment. And, you know, that's kind of what this Five of Wands is encouraging. It's encouraging that outward opinion, that outward viewpoint, so that you can get a clear perspective on what is actually going on. And from there, you can help to start to reevaluate, start to prioritize the things that they need to. You can start to prioritize where to put your energy, so that way you can make sure that things are getting taken care of, while also making sure that you are taking care of yourself at the same time. So that was week 1 here, Cancer. We're going to move on to week 2. And week 2 does show a little bit more of that synergy. It does show a little bit more rest. We're going to get into each individual card. But I just want to say that, you know, all the confusion and all of the figuring out from week 1, it seems that we do a lot more work towards, you know, synergy and letting things work in harmony in week 2. So Monday, week 2, Cancer, you start off with the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands, this is a card where oftentimes this means that you're coming to the end of a battle. This is kind of like the 11th hour, right before a final piece. And the Nine of Wands, you can see here this person has their, you know, their wand, their tool for battle behind their back, and they're standing behind these battlements. So it can often, sometimes for some people, it can be, you know, building up your defenses against something, putting yourself behind these bars in order to provide yourself a sense of safety. It's preparing yourself for battle. And Cancer, we kind of talked a little bit about how you have a soft shell at this time, or you're leaning into having a soft shell. And I kind of feel like this is you preparing yourself for that jump. It's you preparing your defenses so that way when you are in that place of vulnerability, you have things in place, plans or contingencies to make sure that you are taken care of. And, we had this idea at the very end of the week about your vulnerabilities and about your energies and figuring out where to put them. And the Nine of Wands is kind of like this, it's the breath before the fight. So it's you taking the time to figure out before it starts where you're going to be putting your energy, where you're going to be, placing your focus at a certain point. So Nine of Wands, preparing your battle, preparing for your, I don't want to say necessarily a fight, it's not saying that you're going to end up in some sort of altercation. It's just saying that you're preparing yourself for the supposed chaos or strife to come in some way. Tuesday, however, the very next day here, Cancer, you move on to the Wheel of Fortune. And this is actually a very positive card. This is saying that things are going to be taking a lucky turn and moving in a positive new direction for you. You may find yourself feeling a little bit more lucky, or feeling as though you have more resources or time. Things are happening for you a little bit easier with this Wheel of Fortune card. And this is also one of the two major arcana cards happening for you. So this card says that maybe even if it's not necessarily positive things happening for you, it can also be just your perspective on these things. Feeling as though you have a new lease and that things are moving in a positive new direction for you. So Wheel of Fortune, very lucky, very positive energy moving for you here, Cancer. It can often mean that you're finding that things might be a little bit easier for you. That even though you are dealing with a little bit of, uncertainty, you're trying to figure out your inner heart on the inside, it's saying that you can, find a little bit of relief here on that Tuesday. Wednesday here, Cancer, you move on to the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords is a card of rest. So we were saying that you're preparing yourself for battle, things are moving in a lucky direction, and now you're finding yourself in a place of rest. This is also a card of healing from pain, healing from difficulty or strife. And so this is you taking the time to take some self-care, take a rest, really put some focus into taking care of yourself, making sure that you are, actually honoring your body, honoring its needs, honoring what your soul needs, not just your body, but your soul on the inside, this inner healing, emotional rest even as well. Don't beat yourself up for not doing something. If you take the whole day off on Wednesday to rest, good for you. Take some time to really recuperate, put into yourself first, because in order to be able to move through this, you have to take care of yourself first, because you can't expect other people to take care of things for you. You have to take care of you first. Looking at the rest of your cards for this week, Cancer, I almost feel like this Nine of Wands card can also be some of you. This is from Monday. I feel like this card, looking at the rest of your week, it almost feels like this card was you preparing for the worst. And you're finding yourself for the rest of the week here almost in a better outcome than you were expecting. Because we have that Wheel of Fortune card on Tuesday, then, the Four of Swords that we just talked about. And so I feel like you were preparing yourself for the worst case scenario and finding that things are actually turning out a little bit better for you than you expected. So anyway, let's scoot back on into the timeline here. We're going to go to the King of Cups for Thursday. Now, Cancer, the King of Cups has pretty much felt to me like your energy. The cups, first off, they're the suit associated with water and water energy. So of course this Cups card is going to be associated with water signs like Cancer and Pisces and Scorpio. So the King of Cups, this is a person who has good control over their emotions. And I don't want to say control, because we don't control our emotions and we don't allow our emotions to control us. Instead, what we should do with our emotions is we should allow them to pass and flow through us like water. So this King of Cups here, he's not someone who's attempting to control his emotions. He's someone that allows his emotions to flow through him without his emotions shaking his foundations. You can see he's standing here tall in the middle of this water in these waves, and the waves are flowing past him and around him. He's allowing them to move through him as opposed to allowing them to sway his personality or sway his decisions. This is not an impulsive person. This is not someone who acts based on their emotions without thinking first. This is someone who feels them and allows them to pass without judgment or identifying with what they're feeling. You can identify your emotions, but you should not identify your emotions with you. Your emotions are separate from you. You should not identify your emotions as part of your... They serve a purpose with you, but they are not you. You are this steady, capable source in the middle of this. You allow them to flow past you because they are something that is changing constantly, but you are an unchanging force, an unchanging entity within your energy. So, Cancer, this is that point of finding and recognizing who you are. This is that point of recognizing the power that you hold over yourself and over your emotions, and this should be what you are striving for when you're thinking about a foundation, laying the foundation for this new, as we were saying, this persona that you almost want to present yourself as. And part of that is understanding. You have to understand who you are on the inside first before you can start to figure out how you want to express this person. And people can tell when your energy is inauthentic. They can tell when your inner energy is different than the energy you're projecting outward. And so the King of Cups, getting in touch with that base, getting in touch with your inner heart and your inner light, your inner soul, will give you that outward reflection that you're really looking for. It'll help connect you with that peace that you feel as though you're kind of missing. Then Cancer, Friday we move on to the High Priestess in reverse. Now this card is pretty interesting because, you know, we were saying things moving in a positive direction. And I don't think this card is it's not necessarily a negative thing. I feel as though the High Priestess this card often indicates someone with good intuition, someone with a good ability to, you know, see things, see the outcome of their choices. Almost kind of like a fortune teller in a sense of like someone being able to accurately predict the consequences of something. And I almost feel like in your case here, Cancer, normally in the reverse, this is someone not listening to their intuition, not listening to the messages. Cancer, I almost feel like for you, it's actually saying that you need to take a break from trying to figure out what is going to happen in the future. You need to take a break from trying to project your consciousness into the future and thinking about the consequences or the reactions from things. I feel as though you might have been finding yourself spending too much time in the future, catastrophizing, thinking about the worst case scenarios of something. And I feel like this High Priestess in reverse is telling you, hey, you're not actually listening to your intuition in this sense because you're not listening to the message that's being told to you. You're attempting to step yourself into this High Priestess seat and project your consciousness into the future to predict something because of a sense of anxiety about what is going to happen. That's a really weird message, I feel like. I hope I explained that properly, Cancer, but that's literally the message I'm getting for this card, is that you've been spending so much time projecting your consciousness in an attempt to predict what an outcome is. And your higher self is saying, hey, you need to take a step back. You need to remove yourself from this High Priestess seat and allow your higher consciousness, rather than your ego, to take the reins for a little bit. Anyway, let's keep moving. Let's move on. Saturday here, Cancer, you have the Three of Pentacles, and this is that positive synergy that we were looking for. The Three of Pentacles is, I mean, the week before you had the Two of Pentacles in reverse, and then we move on to the Three of Pentacles the following week. So somewhere here, Cancer, you find the ability to rebalance this imbalance from that Two of Pentacles. We were talking about not being able to balance or finding difficulty balancing your energy between different aspects of your life, you know, work, home, and family, or work, you, and family, whatever your 3 points here of the Pentacles may be. This is finding balance and synergy between those points where you're not putting so much into your home life that it's taking out from your work life or your ability to take care of yourself as well. So Cancer, Saturday, this is a good indication that you are finding some balance, you know, finding the time to rest while also still working and taking care of yourself. Whatever the case may be on this Saturday, Cancer, it is a positive change, positive direction to be finding this synergy. So good job. Congrats. And finally, Cancer, Sunday, the 10th, we end with the Six of Cups in reverse. First off, let's talk. This is a Cups card. So again, this is water energy. This is emotions. This is, you know, your energy, Cancer. And the Six of Cups in reverse, sometimes this can be something from the past, looking at something from the past through rose-colored glasses without being realistic, or telling ourselves that maybe something in the past happened a certain way, idealizing something without being truthful about the actual things. So this could be, you know, sometimes this can be someone looking past some red flags, right? Cancer, I feel like this is almost you thinking about the past, idealizing it, and thinking about maybe where you could have made different decisions. I feel like this is you idealizing a past situation because you feel as though in some way that if you could go back, you could make a better choice. And obviously, Cancer, we cannot go back. The past is the past. It's done and happened. And we can't go back to that point in time to make a better decision. Even if we made a decision that initially we perceive as being a negative or being the wrong choice, it often has a funny way of leading us to where we need to be. And so even if you made this choice, Cancer, and you feel as though you made the wrong one and wish you could go back, you're idealizing a past decision, and it's not the actual representation of what happened. So whatever this event was for you, Cancer, just be cautious that you're not trying to idealize it, that you're not trying to tell yourself it could have been better, or that, you know, it wasn't that bad, and so you should, you know, go back somewhere. Whatever the case may be, Cancer, you're going to know what this is. You're going to know what this idealizing is. So just be cautious about it. And that is where you end on Sunday before your next 2 weeks here, Cancer. So overall, you are trying to rebuild yourself in some aspect. You're trying to examine your identity and examine your outward expression of yourself. And ultimately, you know, you do move forward from this with the wisdom, with some, you know, fresh perspective from things. And, you know, we had a little bit of caution at the very end here, but it's not all bad. And in fact, Cancer, you're making a lot of positive progress. So be proud, understand where you came from in the past, and, you know, have pride that you have moved on from that you have made better choices, that you have built and learned and gained wisdom from these experiences. So anyway, Cancer, thank you for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week.